It was a cold October morning when I first stood before the gates of Morrigan Hollow Library, nestled in a forgotten pocket of northern Massachusetts. The sky was an unbroken stretch of grey, clouds hanging low like a warning. The library stood, alone on the edge of dense woodland, its gothic spires piercing the mist like skeletal fingers. Built in 1887, the structure was an ode to Victorian grandeur. Stone gargoyles hunched over its arched entryway, dark ivy clinging to the outer walls like veins. According to the town records, Morrigan Hollow Library was commissioned by wealthy industrialist Elijah Wren as a gift to the people of Ashcroft, a town that barely exists on any modern map. But Wren was no ordinary philanthropist. He was rumored to be an occultist, obsessed with death and the possibility of communicating with what he called the keepers between. He vanished in 1901 under mysterious circumstances. Some say he locked himself in the rare books chamber and was never seen again. Locals whisper about the place. The most common story, that the library is alive. Not haunted in the traditional sense, but sentient, breathing, watching. More than one explorer claimed to have entered Morrigan Hollow and emerged different, changed. One teenage ghost hunting group who live-streamed a visit here in 2011 vanished without a trace. Their camera was found outside the main gate, footage corrupted by what technicians called magnetic anomalies. Naturally, I had to see it for myself. The iron gate gave a groan that echoed like a scream, rust flaking off like old skin as I pushed it open. The main doors were unlocked. Perhaps no one dared to keep them shut. Inside, the scent hit me first. A mix of ancient paper, mildew, and something oddly sweet, like rotting roses. The foyer was immense. Marble floors stretched into the shadows, and an ornate chandelier hung precariously above, like a giant spider. Dust coated everything, thick, enough to blur even the most vivid details of frescoes depicting scenes of knowledge, judgment, and death. My boots echoed as I stepped into the gloom. I panned my camera slowly. Vast reading halls branched out in every direction. Bookshelves soared to the ceilings, accessed by wrought iron ladders that seemed untouched in decades. In one corner stood a globe, blackened and cracked, its countries faded to obscurity. I found a crumbling plaque near the reception desk. To speak with the past is to hold eternity in your hands. Wren creepy, but poetic. Further down, I discovered sections labelled the Binding Room, the Wren Gallery, and the Archivist's Vault. According to archived documents I'd uncovered online, these rooms were notorious for heightened activity. The Binding Room was where grimoires were stored, some allegedly bound in skin. The Wren Gallery featured Elijah Wren's personal collection of esoteric works and oddities. And the vault? No one really knew what it contained. The doors hadn't opened since 1956, after a librarian went in and didn't come back out. I decided to explore all three. The first few hours were relatively quiet, too quiet. Every sound felt muffled, like the air was thick, pressing against my ears. As I set up my recording gear in the Wren Gallery, a loud thump echoed from upstairs. My heart spiked, but when I investigated, the floor was deserted. Not even a mouse. Then came the cold spots. In the middle of the Binding Room, the temperature dropped at least 20 degrees. I breathed out, watching my breath cloud. My thermal camera confirmed it. An icy sphere, no larger than a beach ball, hung in the air like an invisible presence. I reached toward it and felt a sharp electric sting on my fingertips. Static snapped. My audio recorder crackled with what sounded like breathing. Not mine. As the day wore on, the disturbances grew more intense. Books fell off shelves in front of me. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. In the back corner of the Wren Gallery, a mirror tilted slightly despite there being no draft. I caught a glimpse of something behind me in its cracked surface, something tall, thin, and too pale to be human. But when I turned, the hallway was empty. In the vault antechamber, I picked up the faint scent of burning paper. My EMF reader spiked. erratically. I asked aloud, "Is someone here?" And the vault door knocked. Once, twice. Then, silence. I didn't dare open it. That night, with my lantern casting long shadows, I pored through old journals and town records stacked behind the circulation desk. One particular logbook, brittle and spotted with ink, stains, detailed events that chilled me to the bone. Between 1892 and 1900, 7 librarians died in the building. Heart attacks, suicides, and one listed only as cause unknown, eyes burned black. In 1924, a group of local historians hosted a séance in the Wren Gallery. Only one survived, babbling about a corridor that exists only when the mind is turned inward. From interviews with local townsfolk before my visit, I'd compiled a short list of commonly mentioned spirits. The Whispering Scholar, a man in late Victorian garb seen wandering the aisles. Eyewitnesses say he hums Bach concertos and mouths words silently to unseen books. The Archivist, a tall woman in grey robes with no eyes, believed to be the one who curates the vault. Some say if you meet her gaze, you lose your memories. The Burned Boy, a charred child figure often seen crawling beneath tables, crying, always crying. They say he died in a small fire in the basement, set intentionally as part of a ritual, but one name kept appearing more than the others: Elijah Wren. Supposedly, Wren never left the library. His obsession with forbidden knowledge tethered his soul here. Multiple reports claimed his spectre could be seen in the upper gallery at dusk, watching, waiting. Around sunset, I returned to the binding room, camera in hand. Something felt off. The quiet was too complete, as if the building itself was holding its breath. I whispered, "If anyone's here, I'm listening." The lights above flickered once. Then I heard it. A voice, a raspy whisper. "Read." I turned toward the source. A leather-bound book had fallen from the top shelf. Its cover bore no title. Inside, handwritten in spidery ink, were dozens of names, all crossed out except one. Mine. I dropped the book. My camcorder died, fully charged. A minute before, my backup audio recorder fizzled, then screeched with high-pitched static before cutting out. A wind, impossible for an enclosed space, rushed through the room. The mirror in the Wren Gallery shattered without warning. I grabbed my gear and ran, heart pounding in my throat. As I reached the front doors, I turned back just once. On the upper landing, just beyond the railing, stood a man in an old-fashioned coat. His eyes met mine. He smiled. The doors flung open, and I stumbled into the night. I don't remember driving home. My footage, what remains of it, is corrupted in places. Audio lost, battery anomalies, digital noise like screams under the surface. But I know what I saw. I felt it. That place was not just haunted, it was alive. Morrigan Hollow Library is not a place of learning anymore. It's a tomb, a prison for knowledge not meant to be unearthed, and it remembers. I still get emails. Viewers say they hear voices when they play back the video. Others claim to see figures standing behind me, even when I'm alone. Some even ask for the library's location. I don't give it. Whatever's in there doesn't want to be found. Or worse, it does. If you've had any experiences with haunted places or want to share your thoughts on what I saw, drop them in the comments. I read everyone, and if you're brave enough to visit Morrigan Hollow, bring more than just curiosity.